Have you ever really thought about the very first moments of your life? I mean, it's this unbelievable, high-stakes journey that all happens on a microscopic scale way before anyone even knows a pregnancy has started. So today, we're going to dive into that incredible story, from the final, frantic race of a single sperm to the moment the fundamental blueprint for an entire human being gets laid down. Let's get into it.
So, here's our game plan. We're going to look at 5 key stages. First up, the final challenge for the sperm. Then, the incredible moment when 1 becomes 2. We'll follow that with a wild journey of division, see how the embryo has to go about finding a home, and finally, we'll uncover how the body's blueprint gets drawn up.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're deep inside the fallopian tube. An absolutely massive journey has already taken place, and a starting lineup of millions of sperm has been whittled down to maybe just a few hundred of the absolute strongest swimmers. And now they're facing their ultimate goal, a single waiting egg cell. And in their world, this thing is a giant.
Now you've got 2 main players in this game, right? The sperm is just a marvel of engineering. It's tiny, it's streamlined, and it's built for one single mission: deliver its DNA payload. That's it. The egg, on the other hand, well, the egg is a fortress. It's huge by comparison, and it's packed with all the nutrients and cellular machinery needed to kickstart everything. You could say he provides the spark, but she provides the entire factory.
But here's a really crucial detail. Sperm don't show up ready to go. No way. They have to go through this final activation process called capacitation. Think of it like a soldier arming their weapons right before a battle. Over several hours, the female reproductive tract actually strips away proteins from the sperm's head, getting it prepped and ready for that final assault on the egg.
And this brings us to the absolute climax of the race. All that prep work, that entire grueling journey, it all comes down to this one single moment: the fusion of just 1 sperm with the egg.
So, you gotta wonder, right? With hundreds of sperm swarming the egg, how does just 1, and only 1, actually get in? Well, it's not luck. It's an incredibly sophisticated, multi-step biological lock-and-key system.
So here's how it goes down. It's a 3-part sequence. First up, the acrosome reaction. The sperm head releases these powerful enzymes that basically digest a tunnel right through the egg's protective outer shell. Then, second step, membrane fusion. Once it's through, the sperm's membrane fuses with the eggs and poof, the sperm's nucleus is delivered inside. That fusion is the trigger for step 3. The egg is activated. It gets jolted into completing its own final cell division and gets ready for the big genetic merger.
And this is where the egg slams the door shut. The split second that 1 sperm gets in, it triggers what's called the cortical reaction. The egg releases this wave of enzymes that instantly hardens its outer layer, making it totally impenetrable to any other sperm trying to get in. It's like an instant, foolproof security system.
And why is that instant shield so incredibly vital? Well, this quote says it all. If more than 1 sperm got in, a condition called polyspermy, you'd have the wrong number of chromosomes, and that is completely incompatible with normal development. So the cortical reaction isn't just some neat defense, it's literally a life or death switch for the brand new embryo. Okay, so fertilization is complete. We now have a zygote, a single cell with a complete genetic blueprint for a new person. But it's not going to stay a single cell for long. Now begins an absolutely breathtaking period of rapid-fire division and transformation as we watch the first week of life unfold.
Just look at this timeline. The pace it's just incredible. Within 3 days, that 1 single cell has divided into a solid little ball of cells called a morula. Then, something really cool happens. The cells start pumping fluid into the center, creating a hollow space. By day 5, it's totally rearranged itself into this hollow structure called a blastocyst. And this is all happening while it's just tumbling down the fallopian tube. By the end of week 1, its journey is over, and it's time for the next mission.
You know, the blastocyst is such a huge deal because it marks the very first major decision. We now have 2 totally distinct types of cells. There's this little cluster on the inside, the inner cell mass, and that is what's going to become the embryo itself. Yep, every single part of the future baby. And then there's the outer layer of cells, the trophoblast. It has a completely different job. It's going to form the placenta, the life support system for the whole pregnancy.
So, having finally reached the uterus, the blastocyst now faces its next make-or-break test. It has to successfully attach to and then burrow into the uterine wall. And this isn't some gentle landing, It's much more like a carefully orchestrated invasion.
First, the blastocyst has to hatch out of that hardened shell that it created earlier. Then, its outer cells, the trophoblast, get sticky and make contact with the uterine lining. And finally, and this is the really wild part, those cells begin to invade. They release enzymes that literally digest the maternal tissue, allowing the embryo to embed itself securely deep inside the uterine wall. And get this, as soon as it starts invading, that trophoblast starts pumping out a really important hormone, HCG. Now that might sound familiar because that's the hormone that pregnancy tests detect. Its job is basically to send a loud and clear signal to the mother's body that a pregnancy has begun, making sure the uterine lining stays put and protects the newly implanted embryo.
All right, now we're safely embedded, and the embryo is about to undergo what is maybe its most profound transformation yet. This next stage, it's called gastrulation, and it's where this simple ball of cells organizes itself into the fundamental blueprint for an entire body.
Gastrulation is a truly monumental event in development. That inner cell mass basically reorganizes itself from 2 layers into 3 distinct layers called germ layers. This is the moment the embryo commits to a body plan. And from these 3 simple sheets of cells, every single tissue and organ in your body will eventually develop. It's the foundational event of our entire anatomy.
So that first layer, the ectoderm, or outer layer, that forms our connection to the outside world. It gives rise to our entire nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, and of course our largest organ, the skin, which protects us from everything. Then you've got the middle layer, the mesoderm. This basically builds the body's entire scaffolding and all its machinery. This is the source of all our muscle, our bone, and connective tissues. It also forms powerhouse organs like the heart and the kidneys. And finally, the innermost layer, the endoderm. This layer creates all the internal linings of our body. It forms the vast tracts of our digestive and respiratory systems, plus major glands like the liver and pancreas that are absolutely essential for, staying alive. So just think about that for a second. Every bone, every nerve, every single part of you originated from one of those 3 simple layers, which all came from one single fertilized cell. It's just a powerful reminder of the incredibly elegant and complex process that builds a life from the absolute simplest of beginnings. What does this tiny, microscopic blueprint tell you about your own story? That's definitely something to think about.